gold bar system is structured, there will always be transaction losses as a result of the conversion of dollars to cedis and vice versa in the purchase of gold. He joins us on the line. Thank you very much for your time and a good morning to you.
Good morning, man. Happy New Year.
Many happy returns we pray for. And first, let's start. You said in your write-up, the very first thing you said was that they deserve some commendation for the lessons learned. What are those lessons for you?
Well, first of all, let me state that the way the Gold for Oil stuff started, the whole program, obviously was murky. We asked questions. What is the business in trying to exchange gold for oil? It didn't really make sense. If you have the money, why don't you just go and buy them? Or convert your gold, sell your gold, buy, and then buy your oil? Why set up different vehicles with sleepy middlemen who will make commissions here and there? I mean, the whole thing was set up to like a maturation. So people were benefiting along the line. It didn't make sense. We did an extensive review. In fact, a forensic review of the whole gold for oil. You remember, we found out that Ghana lost close to 7 billion Ghana cedis. It included taxes that were dodged, as well as the middlemen taxes, middlemen rent that were accrued to suspicious people. So, coming into office and then realizing that particular problem was was virtually, let me say, was a corrupt entity. Just for lack of a better way. Why don't you do something cleaner? And I think the gold, which was there, so basically the gold board thing that the current government is undertaking, it's a huge improvement on the gold for oil future. So, to that extent, it's important to acknowledge the fact that there's been some noticeable improvement in terms of the way this one is structured. And so that's why I made this comment. But I think we still have a few issues. We have a problem with the way the whole code box is set up. I mean, you can be a regulator, an operator, and then a policeman at the same time. It's very difficult. If gold wants to do, if he wants to just make sure that they aggregate so and then get a gold and have it sold out abroad and the money kept at the BUG. So be it. But if they also want to be policing it, well, that's another thing. Anyway, that's the way they believe they'll be set up, and that's the way they think they can be effective. We only think that along the way there'll be challenges because you may give up. But anyway, having said that, with the exception of, and I know the subject of the conversation has to do with the $40 million loss or no loss, depending on who you speak to by the end. So, we can get into it as well.
You said, of course, the way it is set up, there will be challenges. What challenge do you anticipate?
Well, my thinking is that if you are the same person regulating, making sure, policing everywhere, making sure that the good is not sold outside. You are the same person trying to motivate people and entice people with a little subsidy. But they did give subsidy, right? To encourage people to sell to them. Otherwise, people will sell to Cote d'Ivoire, people across the border, and make more money. Now, that can lead to, I think can lead to serious operational challenges, as well as, the financial outlay to get this done. But that's one. And I think the other one is what has actually emerged right now. You see, so my understanding, the explanation given so far by my good brother Samidi, is that look, there's no way we can report losses, but we are basically giving a pot of money to do our work. Essentially, what we do is to get aggregators, buy the stuff, get a Bank of Ghana money, through gold board and pay all these people. And then we sell it in dollars and bring back the money and put it in our vaults. Eventually, the Bank of Ghana provides CDs to buy the gold. And again, this is where we needed some sort of clarification. We buy the gold at spot price or is it at a discount? It's very important to do that, especially when gold board is also enticing people for a little subsidy here and there to make sure that they sell the goods to gold board. You understand? So there's some lacuna there that has to explain because if you don't get that right, then you are likely to start registering some of the conventional losses that we have come to understand that we are discussing and knocking our heads over. Because what it means is that if I buy in the city from you, and obviously I pay you cities, you that you pay them, and then you sell to me, I go and sell it in dollars, and then come and put it in the vault. The next time I need cities, I probably will change a few, because I'm not going to print money. I don't think the Bank of Ghana will print money to do that. So they need a cities, the dollar, and somehow, how they can change to cities, and then, at that cycle itself would introduce some transaction losses, which is necessarily not due to the fault of the existence of gold, the existence of gold board or not. You understand what I'm saying? It's not something that they deliberately were going to make sure that we lose that money. Then the moment you do that, there are challenges. And if the challenges actually get heightened, or magnified, is a better word, when you have to differentiate between whether you are buying it at spot price or at a discount price. And then when you are selling back to your client, again, because you introduce an element of subsidy, you're actually more or less subsidizing the person buying your gold. But that's another area we suspect. We are not saying it's happening, but the moment we don't see exactly the real time buying and real time selling, that's likely to be insider trading, which essentially means that if I know that, let's say, gold board bought this type of gold, a certain amount of gold for, let's say, 14,000 US dollars, and I get a discount and all of that, I'm sort of 14,000, and they're going to sell to somebody at maybe 15,000. When the world price is, let's say, should I say 15,100 or 200, somehow across the line, across the chain of sale and buying and sell, you have introduced some sort of arbitrage, which essentially means that the person who buys benefits because the gold is already subsidized and tied up already and entice aggregators to sell to the main aggregator. The buyers, sellers to sell to the main aggregator, and the aggregator owns basically sense. They give the gold to you to build this sort of gold, right? So that between that transaction, we are subsidizing the figure. At the same time, it depends on whether you bought that spot price, which means spot price, meaning as soon as it's available at exactly at that price at that point in time, or you discounted them. These transactions must be benchmarked against the global price of gold. So if you give a discount and then you bought it at the spot price, which is, let's say, $200 less than gold price, standard gold price abroad, it makes sort of good business sense, right? Then you sell it back to the BOG. So BOG basically takes it and sells it back to some clients outside, and at the prevailing market price, it still means that you make some $200 more or less so like interest. But you see, the problem arises when the, that spread between the intermediate role of trying to give a subsidy and at the same time benefiting from a discount because the time you sell, you discounted it let's say below the average market price and go back price. When you are now selling it back to your client and you sell it, we need to know how much you actually sold it to the client. There are some other things. But if you sold it at, you may as well sell it at maybe $100 lower or $50 lower. So all that see this chain is especially where the losses are accumulated.
Okay.
It is important to know exactly at what point and whoever is also buying and who is responsible for this loss. It's the only way we can tell the transactional losses that are coming up. So for me, it's not a question of whether somebody has chopped money. Nobody has chopped money. What is essentially happening is because of the way it's structured, anybody can do anything with whatever information they get, and then somehow between the spot price and the discount rate, benchmark against the global price.
Okay.
Anything at all can happen. And I suspect that's why we all need to find out exactly where along the chain are the losses from. It's like you how do I call it? I remember when I had this new meter, and then all of a sudden I was in the pump. All of a sudden, anytime the pump was just continuously on, as soon as water leaks from any part of the pipe, the pump is still in. So I kept losing a lot of money to not recently. And I had to do a complete audit. And then realize that, it was at this point that there's a leakage. You understand? And then we fixed it. Well, the same thing is this. We need to know these are losses not necessarily due to them, to the should I call it the negative performance of the gold board or but the way gold is bought and sold. It's a quick transaction, right? Very fast transaction. The spot price, discount rate, and then benchmark against the global price when they sell finally to the client abroad. That's where those are where the loopholes are, and we need to find them and block them. And it's doable. I'm sure that the governor of the bankers and I discussed yesterday that he is going to be a stakeholder and is going to address some of these issues. And that, so that's what I got to say about that.
And as much as this can be addressed, there are two things you mentioned. First, the issue of addressing smuggling. And secondly, there's the issue of the exchange rate, which you think is the problem here. Now, so can we just count if it did happen, the $250 million loss as the cost of tackling smuggling and improving the economy?
Oh, no. That's not right. You see, I've heard this argument. Yeah. It's like a production cost, right? It's like the cost of production in producing, let's say, a manufacturer, that's fine. But you need to know that cost, the elements of those costs. Otherwise, you can't tell me that, it's the cost of producing them. We need to know what constitutes those costs. We are now in point. It's a legitimate question. So, me suggesting that, the cost of making sure that we get a greater good, it's a fine argument. But it's not a logical argument. Yes. And so, you can't tell me that because you are making so much profit, or you are selling so much gold, or selling so many cars, this cost is so small in the first place. Besides the cost of actually selling those many cars. Yeah, we know. But what constitutes the cost? Is it the fact that we are spending too much on, let's say, if it's a car you are producing, manufacturing, whether we are spending too much on how do I call it? Maybe the price. Let me get a better one. maybe a component of the car. Is it that we are paying too much for it? Is it where we are sourcing it from? Do we need to source from somewhere else so that we can pay cheaper? We need to do that audit. That's important. So I think it's just a conflation of issues. So and people think some money is lost. Others we also think that we have to investigate and know exactly where the leaks are. And I suspect that is all there is really. You have to do that audit. If you don't do it, it's difficult to say that, oh, it's the production cost.
So find where the problem is and address it.
Exactly.
Okay. Mr. Cudjoe, thank you very much for speaking to us.
My pleasure.
That's Franklin Cudjoe, founding president Imani Africa. He thinks there's an issue that needs to be addressed. So audit and find out where are those losses coming from and try to rectify them, right? To rectify those losses. SM, before I share a bit of what the Gold Boss you has been saying.